Namo myoho renge kyo, namo myoho renge kyo, namo myoho renge kyo. Hello, friends. Thanks for being here. I hope this finds you in good health and secure. We are reading the Lotus Sutra from the BDK translation. We are in the midst of chapter 14, and we're about to read the verse section of Ease in Practice, an exhortation, if you will, on how to be a Bodhisattva Mahasattva, what our state of mind should be, attitude and intent, right? Buddhism is about the mind. Before I get going, he's going to point something out here which might make you raise an eyebrow. You know, I'm a big proponent of recognizing in our studies the biases, the bias, cultural bias, educational bias, Buddhist practice bias, non-Buddhist bias of the people who take part in the translation. And the reason I say it that way is it's not simply the author. Yes, absolutely, the author, essential. But there are editors, there are reviewers, there are all kinds of people who get involved in the publication of a book. A book with great, large distribution, right? I don't have that privilege in the books that I write. They're just up to me to do as best I can. In that way, maybe they're more honest, but they're also sometimes a little rough around the edges. I do admit that. Anyway, the reason I bring this up is that BDK, and I've already pointed this out in a few spots, where they use language that kind of gives away their antiquity bias, right? They write certain adjectives, certain words that they use are pronouncements that don't fit cleanly into the Buddhist scholarship. They kind of snake in some religious thoughts or traditional thinking. And this happened throughout the history of everything, right? But certainly in Buddhism. And so I've pointed that out wherever I catch it. And one of the things, right in the front of the book, there's a message on the publication of the English Tripitaka. The mission of this BDK organization, the Numata Center, is to publish all of the Tripitaka, the three baskets of teachings, which are early teachings of Buddhism. Although there's a version of the Lotus Sutra in here, they still consider it through the lens of the Tripitaka. And I need you to hear that, because right in this first or second verse, you're going to hear Shakyamuni admonish those who would follow the Tripitaka simply because they are not complete. So you might hear this and think, what? Just understand, my words are not empty words when I talk about biases affecting translations. Fortunately, because I'm constantly talking about it, you're focused, I certainly am, on the meaning overall of what is being translated, and that comes shining through. Although, if we don't pay attention to those words of biases, we can be confused for a very long time and misunderstand the meaning. So this is why it's an issue that I always bring up. All right. So at that time, the Bhagavat, wanting to elaborate upon the meaning of this further, spoke these verses. If in the troubled world to come, a bodhisattva with a fearless mind wants to teach this sutra, he should enter the sphere of the bodhisattva practice and the sphere of relationships. He should always stay away from kings, princes, ministers, chief officials, dangerous pranksters, outcasts, heretics, and Brahmins. He should not consort with excessively proud scholars who are attached to scriptures of the inferior vehicle contained in the three baskets, the Tripitaka. Oh, that's pretty clear, isn't it? Nor with monks who violate the precepts, with those who call themselves arhats. You see how you could be confused because that word arhat is used clearly in a diluted way from the earlier teachings, not respecting what Shakyamuni is very clearly saying is that arhats are not awakened people. They're on the path, but they have not achieved what they think they have. And he's very strict about it. And right here, you shouldn't have anything to do with those who call themselves arhats. Nor with nuns who like to joke and laugh. He should not become acquainted with lay women who are attached to the desires of the five senses, right, the skandhas, and seek nirvana in their present lives. If these people come to the Bodhisattva with good intentions, in order to hear about the Buddha path, the Bodhisattva should then fearlessly teach them the Dharma without any exceptions. Oh, so they're not pariah, they're simply being in their circles is not recommended because of their influence, the influence of the 3,000 realms in a single thought moment being imprinted upon you simply by being in their circles, right? But if they're in your circle, they're for the purpose of learning, well, now you control the influence and teach the Dharma. Do you see the dynamic? A bodhisattva should not become intimately acquainted with widows, maidens, or impotent men. What are impotent men? Men who present themselves as sexual objects. Nor should he consort with slaughterers, butchers, hunters, or fishermen who kill for profit. That's an important caveat, who kill for profit. He didn't say you can't kill an animal. He said if you kill it to profit, then you're not respecting life. But like indigenous people, if you kill to feed your family, if you eat all of the animal that you've killed for the benefit of the health and welfare of your family, not for sport, not for selling to others, then what you're doing is a compassionate act. You're respecting life, right? He should not consort with people such as those who make a living from selling meat, again, profit, or from pandering prostitutes, right, like a whoremonger or a pimp. He should never become acquainted with dangerous wrestlers, people who like to fight, or the variety of jugglers or courtesans, right, because they're into fooling and entertaining, and their influences are not serious. They're about manipulation. They're about sleight of hand. They're about the world of anger, truly. He should not teach the Dharma to a woman alone in a quiet place. Yeah, I'll meet you in the park late this evening at dusk when no one's around, and I'll teach you the Dharma. We'll have a good time. Don't do that. When he teaches the Dharma, he should not joke or laugh. If he enters a village to beg for food, he should be accompanied by a monk. If there is no monk, he should single-mindedly contemplate the Buddha. There it is again. Always keeping your Buddha-ness to the fore. That is what is known as the sphere of the Bodhisattva practice and the sphere of relationships. Within these two spheres, he can teach at ease. In other words, free of the potential for obstacles, for bad influences, bad in the sense that they guide you away from your enlightenment, from your Buddha-ness, yeah? That samsaric drug. He should not practice the superior, mediocre, or inferior teachings, the conditioned and the unconditioned, or the teaching of the real and the unreal, nor should he discriminate between men and women. He should not acquire, comprehend, or perceive any phenomena. That is what is known as the sphere of the Bodhisattva practice. In other words, a committed attempt to stay liberated from the attachment of things, which come from the skandhas which discriminate. Right? We've talked about this many, many ways. All dharmas are empty and without substance, impermanent, without origination or cessation. Isn't that an interesting statement? We talk about moment-to-moment karmic instantiation, right, as arising, decaying, and dissolving. But dharma, being an experience of, has no beginning, decay, or dissolution. It's a moment-to-moment observation, witnessing, an experience. This is known as the sphere of the relationships of the wise. Through the error of discrimination, one sees all existent things as existing or non-existing, real or unreal, produced or unproduced. Being in a quiet place, the bodhisattva carries out practices to control his mind and refrains as firm and unmoved as Mount Sumeru. Being. Moment to moment to moment to moment to moment. He should regard all dharmas as being without substance, like empty space, which has no firmness. All dharmas are neither produced nor do they emerge. They are immovable, non-returning, and always remain in their single character. This is known as the sphere of relationships. Any monk after my parinirvana who enters the sphere of practice and the sphere of relationships will not be disheartened when he teaches this sutra. A bodhisattva at proper times should enter a quiet chamber and contemplate all dharmas with correct thoughts according to the meaning. Arising from meditation, he should reveal and expound this sutra to kings, princes, ministers, and Brahmins. Then his mind will be at ease and unafraid. So he's qualifying relationships in terms of, are you being in the company of these various people, women, and so on? And for you ladies, obviously we're talking about sexual cravings, clinging. If you're involved with other sentient minds, and those are the spheres of influence that exist, you need to avoid those situations. However, if those same people come to you free of those situations, even though they may have them in their nature, if they come to you with the curiosity and the inquisition of the Bodhisattva practice, the Buddha path, this teaching of this Dharma, then by all means, now you are the influencer, and it's up to you to stay of strong mind and maintain single-mindedly Buddha-ness so that you can teach the Dharma. That's fine. But you see the setup. There's a strong exegesis on our state of mind, our attitude, and our intent. It's everything. Lest we be influenced and get in our own way. O Manjushri, this is the Bodhisattva who firmly abides in the Dharma from the beginning, and in the world to come will be able to teach the Lotus Sutra. So there's some recognition for those of you who've said, and I've heard this many, many times, who will say, I can't teach this stuff. It's too complicated. I'll say something wrong. I don't understand it well enough myself. I hear you. And Shakyamuni hears you, right? He's telling you, don't even try unless you're absolutely ready, right? He started with what statement? Strong mind. You have to approach the communication of this Myoho Renge Kyo with confidence. As Nichiren tells us all the time, for our own practice, you must approach your practice when you sit comfortably but at attention in front of your altar with your open butsudan, staring at the myo and whole characters of this mandala, to reflect, to open, to engage with your mind viscerally. Single-mindedly meet Buddha. Walk through that door, Gohonzon door, and open that eye of Buddha-ness. That takes a strong commitment, a strong confidence of knowing. Not an expectation that it's going to happen from you, but with a full expectation that you're going to manifest it from your own mind, your consciousness. It's there. You simply need to awaken it. With that kind of confidence, knowledge, wisdom will come to communicate that sense, that conviction. So, how do we start? Chanting. That's always the first thing we do, because it's the easiest thing to do. You don't need to be a scholar. You don't need to know all the texts and the translations and the just chant. If that's all you do for the remainder of your human life, you are practicing correctly. You are being a bodhisattva. Teach people to chant correctly. Don't mispronounce. Get a nice rhythm going. From that point on, it's really up to them, just as it is up to you and I, to develop our relationship with our Buddha mind. That's Buddhism. Beyond that, the desire to talk to one another with like-minded zeal for instantiating our Buddha mind, we can talk about Nichiren and the Lotus Sutra and the different translations because we have the right intent and attitude. So then it works for everyone, right? Too often we think of teaching people as shoving information into their brains so that they repeat. But, memorization has its place. It's very good for working from the same starting point. But that alone isn't the Dharma. The Dharma is the experience we go to achieve with that knowledge, with those implements, with those guidances. Right? So let's see what else he says. Furthermore, O Manjushri, after the Tathagata's parinirvana, anyone who wants to teach this sutra in the age of the decadent Dharma, what is that, a different teaching? No, Dharma is experience. We are living in that age. It's a decadent age, right? It's an incredibly physical age. Everything is about identity. Identity, sexuality, religion. It's all about the body, 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 body. The body is just existing to allow us to develop a mind, a sentient mind. That's where life is. The age of the decadent Dharma should abide in the ease of practice. So now you know what he means by the ease of practice. It's a lot of work to get to the ease of practice. The ease of practice is being firmly rooted in single-mindedly contemplating Buddha-ness, opening our Buddha mind to live in it moment to moment. No, oh yeah, that's easy. No, but it's not easy. But from that place, we live and teach and be in ease. In other words, difficulties get out of the way. We overcome obstacles with ease because we're committed moment to moment in Buddha-ness. When he expounds or recites this sutra, he should not take pleasure in talking about the faults of people or of the sutra, nor should he slander or other expounders of the Dharma or talk of the good and bad, strong and weak points of others. So, as you know, we do talk about obstacles like biases and incorrect language, but I don't talk about it in order to make ridicule. I talk about it in order to clarify understanding, our study, right? As I would the authors face to face, because that's also what Shakyamuni says is our responsibility. If we don't correct somebody, then we're just as guilty as they are of whatever offense they're making, whatever error they're making. So don't be confused by this, yeah? I mean, look at Nichiren, or listen to Nichiren, read Nichiren. As for the Shravakas, a bodhisattva should not name them and point out their faults, nor name them and praise their virtues. Moreover, he should not feel any hatred. This is really related to the skandhas, isn't it? Our samsaric emotions and influences. Because if he skillfully practices ease of mind in this way, those who listen to him will not oppose his intentions. They'll get the point. If he is asked difficult questions, he should not answer using the teaching of an inferior vehicle. He should take his explanation only from the Mahayana, which will enable them to attain omniscience. Right? So we're focused on the Lotus Sutra here, right? At that time, the Bhagavad, wanting to elaborate the meaning of this further, spoke in these verses. And how long is this one? Okay, we have some time. The Bodhisattva should always willingly teach the Dharma at ease, establishing his seat in a pure place. He should not anoint his body with oil. Wait a minute. Establishing his seat in a pure place. Oh, he should anoint, He should anoint his body with oil to cleanse himself of dirt and put on new, clean clothing, both his outer garments and undergarments being pure, sitting comfortably on the Dharma seat. He should teach according to the questions. In other words, don't just pontificate. Address the curiosities, the questions of those who are students, really along with you as well, but, right? Address the concerns and questions of those in your meeting, whatever you want to call it, your gathering. If there are any monks, nuns, laymen, and laywomen, or kings, princes, subjects, officials, and commoners, using subtle ideas, he should teach them with a composed consonance. countenance. In other words, resist getting super emotional and demonstrative about things. Be a regular person, right? Be who you are, albeit with an attitude and an intent that is to share what you know, to guide the others toward their own mission of enlightenment, yeah? No reason to jump up and down and wave books in the air and right? That's showmanship, that's ego. So we don't want that. If they have difficult questions, he should answer in accordance with the meaning, expounding and illuminating it with various explanations and illustrations. Skillful means, right? Through these skillful means, very next sentence, he should awaken the thought of enlightenment in them all, gradually benefiting them and causing them to enter the Buddha path, ridding them of idle minds. In other words, teaching them to do as we ourselves are doing, single-mindedly contemplating Buddha. Ridding them of idle minds and lazy thoughts, as well as anxieties, he should compassionately teach the Dharma, which I will remind you is simply chanting. Because chanting is the invocation of the experience of Buddha. So if you lead 1, 10, 3, 100 people in a daimoku, shodai, continuous daimoku, you are following Shakyamuni's direction. You are teaching them the experience of Buddha-ness, of single-mindedly contemplating Buddha. That's the Dharma, right? He should continually expound the teaching of the highest path, both day and night, using various explanations and incalculable illustrations, skillful means. But that doesn't mean that we all need to become expert at that to begin with. The foundation is simply daimoku. We're not quite there yet in the Lotus Sutra, but you can see the foundation, can you not? Revealing this to sentient beings, he will cause them all to rejoice. They'll feel it. They'll know something new is happening. He should not expect to receive any clothing, bedding, food and drink, or medicine, right? We're not teaching the experience of the Dharma for profit. Oh, that would be a terrible cause to make, right? He should only single-mindedly, once again that word, think of teaching the Dharma. Gain mastery of the Buddha path and enable sentient beings also to attain it. Be an example. It is exactly this kind of offering that brings great benefit and ease. This is the Bodhisattva practice. This is the word cleansing is often used, but maybe there's a better word for it. It's simply the maximal influence toward enlightenment we can give our karmic freight train of momentum, yeah? We're really pushing it into its enlightened realm. Make sense? It is exactly this kind of offering that brings great benefit and ease. After my parinirvana, if there is any monk who is able to explain the Lotus Sutra, the Myoho Renge Kyo, his mind will be free from the obstructions of jealousy, anger, and anxiety. He will also be without sorrows, and no one will slander him. He will not be afraid of being attacked with swords and sticks, and he will not be expelled from the Sangha, because he abides in perseverance. The wise skillfully compose their minds in this way and can abide in ease as I have described above. One would not be able to fully describe the qualities of such a person through calculations and illustrations, though they lasted for thousands of myriads of kotas of kalpas. Furthermore, O Manjushri, in the future when the Dharma becomes extinct, and that was the prediction for this age, Mapo, any Bodhisattva Mahasattva who preserves and recites this sutra will not feel jealous or be deceitful, nor will he insult those who study the Buddha path by pointing out their good qualities or their deficiencies. If there are any monks, nuns, laymen, and laywomen who are seeking the Shravaka vehicle, the Pratyeka Buddha vehicle, or the Bodhisattva path, a Bodhisattva will not worry them, causing them to have doubts by saying, "You are very far away from the path and will never be able to attain omniscience." Why is this? Because you are negligent and idle in the path. It's not the time for that anymore, right? Moreover, a bodhisattva also should not devise hollow sophistries concerning the teachings and argue about them. In him, the thought of great compassion for all sentient beings should awaken, together with the thought that all Tathagatas are compassionate fathers and that all bodhisattvas are great teachers. He should always deeply respect and pay homage to all of the great bodhisattvas in the 10 directions. He should teach the Dharma equally to all sentient beings in accordance with the Dharma, explaining neither too much nor too little, nor should he teach too much even to those who are deeply enthusiastic about hearing the Dharma, right? We can get carried away. So, I'm going to pause here. Yeah. He's going to make another pronouncement to Manjushri here. And, this chapter, yeah, not that long. Next chapter, Bodhisattva is emerging from the earth. Woo! But do you see how he's outlining how to be a bodhisattva? How to be with other people? How to, judge or understand the interpersonal, interrelationship influences on attitude and intent, right? Our focus has to be on Namo Myoho Renge Kyo, on instantiating Buddha-ness. And if anything tries to take precedent or influence or manipulate our mind to conduct itself in a different way, then the flow of influence has been changed and it should be avoided. Simple as that, right? Take a few seconds to like this video. If you care, a few more seconds to subscribe. Notifications, that's up to you. Sometimes I like notifications, sometimes they're just annoying. I post a video pretty much every day, sometimes two. So if the notifications help you, by all means, maybe help you keep track. But subscribing and liking, are two very simple things you can do to help propagate this teaching. And that's the only reason I ask for you to do it. It's a Bodhisattva act, very simple. If you can do more or you're interested in doing more, we have some great regular patrons who use Patreon or go to PayPal directly and have subscriptions with monthly, anything from $1 to on up, whatever you can, whatever's comfortable for you and your commitment to this resource, which is all these videos, thousands now. They're free. The translation into podcasts, also free. Lots of free information on threefoldlotus.com. So make sure you use all these sources for yourself and to help you share with others, teach, right? It helps Bodhisattva. That's what this resource is about, strengthening your practice through your own development and your bodhisattva commitment, as we're reading about, to help others, right? So yeah, patrons or just buying an ebook. Every little bit helps to support this endeavor. Keep me going. Keep me on my toes. And your comments are invaluable. I read them all. So far, our Sangha isn't so big that I'm overwhelmed by emails and comments. So please feel free, okay? And we'll continue with ease of practice in the next video. In the meantime, be kind to yourself. Take care of your health. Be mindful. Savor your practice. And I'll see you next time.